everyone, and welcome to today's Yooz webinar in collaboration with the Chartered Accountants Ireland. Today, we're talking about Microsoft Yooz and Sysco and our top tech predictions this year. All right, so I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is Chelsea Adrian. I'm going to be your webinar host today. Let's see if I can turn on my camera just to say hello to everyone. So I am the product evangelist, and I'm an AP automation expert at Yooz AP Automation. And I'm really excited to be joined by two special guests today. We have Rebecca Newton joining us from Microsoft, and we also have Mr. Niall Morgan joining us from Cisco Software. So if you'd like, Rebecca, just to quickly introduce yourself to all of our participants today.
Thank you, Chelsea. Yeah, really happy to be here today and support the webinar with Sysco and Yooz to the Chartered Accountants of Ireland. So I work at Microsoft as part of the Irish team here. So really supporting our business applications partners to go out to all of our customers in Ireland, really looking at how we do finance and digital transformation.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure having you today. Niall, if you don't mind, just quickly introducing yourself to everyone.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Niall Morgan. I'm the commercial lead in Cisco Software, and I specialize in everything to do with Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. So thanks very much for the invitation today and look forward to participating.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So what we're going to do before we go into today's webinar agenda, why don't we just start off by giving some quick introductions to our companies, just so everyone has a little bit of a context for today's webinar, starting off with a quick introduction of Yooz. Then I'll pass it over to you, Niall, for a quick introduction to Cisco Software, followed by Rebecca and a quick introduction to Microsoft. So we'll start off with an introduction to Yooz AP Automation. So Yooz, we're a company created in the cloud back in 2010, so over 13 years ago now. And we have quickly grown internationally, about 40% per year. We're growing. And we have 2 international offices located in the south of France and also in Dallas, Texas, in the United States. We're now present in over 40 countries around the globe, and we work with over 5,000 clients. Within those clients, we work with a lot of accounting firms. So overall, more than 200,000 companies are using our platform. And we've processed over 200 million documents through the Yooz platform. Now, because AP automation is our only focus here at Yooz, we're really dedicated to technology and innovation. It's very serious to us, and it's actually kind of at the heart of our business, which is why each year we're reinvesting nearly a quarter, 25% of our income back into our R&D department. We're consistently producing white papers, scientific publications. We love participating in masterclasses, webinars to really educate the community about different technologies and AP automation. Now, let me pass it over to you, Niall, so you can give us a quick introduction to Cisco Software.
Sure. Thank you, Chelsea. So Cisco as a business, we were founded in 1980. We've been around a while. Our HQ is in Dublin, Ireland. Today, our core business is focused purely on Microsoft Dynamics Cloud applications. So anyone who's on the call today who's been around for the last 10, 15, 20 years in the Irish business market may have known the product Navision or Dynamics Nav. So Business Central essentially is the latest iteration of that product. So same application, just rebranded by Microsoft. So Cisco's experience goes back to 1997 with the application prior to Microsoft acquiring it. So today we've over 350 clients in the Irish marketplace and beyond, utilizing Business Central in varying levels of business vertical markets, be it manufacturing, professional services, fintech. The one thing they would have in common is they're using the financial management functionality as their core system, because that's essentially the foundation of every business ERP application is the financial. So Cisco as an organization, we're very proud. We're recognized in the top 5% of Microsoft partners globally. Our revenue growth year on year has increased. It's over 14 million now at this stage. And that's really down to the skill sets of our people and what we bring to the customer marketplace in Ireland with that 25 years plus experience with the application. So today we've over 120 specialists across our Dublin and Belfast offices specialising in the applications. And as I mentioned, we specialise in all Microsoft Dynamics applications, but Business Central is a key part of our business in that it's focused at the SME market, and that's predominantly the market for Ireland. So happy to answer any more questions throughout the day and following today, but I know Chelsea's keen to move on as well. So.
Thank you so much. I think it's important so that everyone has a little bit of information. So thank you so much for that overview of Sysco software. Let's now pass it over to Rebecca with the next slide, where she's going to give us a quick introduction to Microsoft.
Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, Niall. It was difficult to try and put Microsoft on one slide, actually. So hopefully you all know who Microsoft are. I mean, from, very humble beginnings, really around, starting from an operating system. Microsoft now finds itself in services, devices, leading sustainability. We've got data centers across the globe. We're over 100,000 employees globally. And since Satya Nadella, our CEO, joined over 10 years ago now, he really drove the mission around empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And there's a video that we can share as well after this webinar that really talks to that around how SMBs are really that lifeblood of the global economy. And actually that's really where Microsoft started, was working with small businesses, helping entrepreneurs really get set up. How do they use computers and technology to really drive their business and operate better and operate more efficiently? So SMBs are really the lifeblood of Microsoft and also the global economy. So I'm really proud to represent Microsoft today on this call. And where Niall and myself really work closely together is around how do we bring out that finance technology into SMBs. So Business Central is a key part of that portfolio, which we can go in and talk more about and use and some use cases as well with Yooz. But yeah, so really technology today from Microsoft perspective, we think about it and we think about how we invest in technology to help SMBs grow their business, make businesses more efficient, keeping staff engaged and productive, and enhancing that digital experience and security as well as a key part of that. So yeah, so that's really how Microsoft think about SMBs and where we're investing today. Thank you.
Perfect. So now that we have some introductions, let's now go on to today's agenda on the next slide, where first, this was a follow-up slide for Microsoft. So not sure, Rebecca, if you had anything else or
no, No, that's fine. We'll just share the video, but it really just thinks
Amazing.
about, finance functions going on this digital transformation. What does the future of that look like, really? So yeah, that's all. So it's just an interesting video, really, to share.
Wonderful. So keep your eye out for that and be sure to use that as a resource after today's presentation. Now, let's go quickly over our agenda for today's presentation. We're going to kick it off with some benchmarking to see where your organization stands in comparison to others. We're also going to discuss some key challenges and trends in the industry. Next up, we're going to take a look into some of the technologies that are key to creating success for your finance department this year. Then we're going to discuss how to start your digital journey with automation. Finally, we're going to quickly go over how to help set you and your team up with a free live demonstration of Yooz so that you can really see how Yooz AP automation works. And we're going to save some time at the end of the webinar for an interactive Q&A session. So please feel free to participate if you have any questions during today's webinar. All right, let's go to the next slide, to our first section. And a lot of companies today are curious to see where they stand in comparison to other finance departments when it comes to their productivity, their ability to monitor and track real-time data, their level of automation technology put in place, their environmental, social, and governmental practices, and much more. We've actually surveyed this year over 1,500 finance decision makers globally to gain some insights into these benchmarks. So let's dive into this first section on how your organization compares to other finance departments. All right, so as time changes, of course, we know so do the top challenges that we face in the finance world. Here you can see up on the board some of the common challenges that finance departments are experiencing this year. Now, in this third edition of our global survey that we did here at Yooz, it's called the State of Automation in Finance Report. This is where we surveyed, of course, like I mentioned, 1,500 finance decision makers in 9 different countries. Now, they responded that the top 3 problems that they experience with manual accounts payable processes are processes being too time consuming, having issues with late payments, and also errors being made on their supplier invoices. Now, those may be the top 3 problems, but all of those up here on the screen that you can see are becoming big issues for modern finance teams today. And many of these challenges are affecting our productivity and may end up leaving you and your team kind of questioning, okay, well, how efficiently is our organization functioning and working? Does remote or hybrid work affect your team's ability to communicate, to share data, and get invoices approved? Does your team have to go back to invoices to correct errors, or maybe search through all of your different invoices to identify where the errors occurred and find the source? Maybe you're just struggling with certain issues like I mentioned, late payments or supplier relationships. Now, Rebecca and Niall, I have a quick question to kind of outreach to you. Have your clients experienced any of the challenges that you see up on the board? Or what do you maybe think is keeping finance teams from advancing in their AP department this year? Starting with Niall.
Yes, certainly our clients would have experienced most of above, Chelsea, especially in advance of investing in the Microsoft Dynamics application. So it's very difficult to advance your finance departments if the solutions they're using aren't geared towards the new world of working. So the new world involves everyone working remotely, and that needs to be done on one device or multiple mobile devices. So a big benefit of a cloud application is your business critical data is available in one place. So this in turn reduces your manual tasks associated with consolidating multiple silos of information.
Yes.
And this can really allow you to focus the business on making proactive decisions based on having real-time information in front of you. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. And then for you, Rebecca, on your side, I know you're working with lots of different companies and different industries. Are there any challenges up on the board that kind of stand out to you or that you've heard being experienced by different companies?
Yeah, it's the manual and inefficient processes. We hear that a lot. We ran a study as well, and we like 72% of our CFOs believe they'll need to completely rethink their business processes. They know that traditional and siloed ERP systems that they're currently running today don't allow for the rapid change that they're seeing both within their finance department and with the customer demands, their supply demands. They know that they're going to have to rethink completely their business processes. So that's a big one for us that we're hearing and responding back to. Another area is around actually the capacity within their staff and the teams to respond to a lot of that change as well.
Yeah.
So they're seeing all of these issues, but they've got capacity or bandwidth issues within the staff because they're dealing with a lot of these problems. So it's kind of where do they start? That's another big challenge.
Yeah.
Is, we've got these problems, but I don't know where to start with it.
Yeah, up here on the board, these are just kind of examples of the more common problems that we see across different areas within our business, especially in the AP department. But the great news is that there are so many solutions to help overcome these issues. Like Niall was saying, with cloud-based solutions, we're able to kind of adapt anytime, anywhere. We have access. And actually 18% of organizations reported prioritizing mobility in their programs. And then, like Rebecca was saying, with manual processes and human errors, this can all be reduced thanks to different integrated technologies like optical character recognition in combination with artificial intelligence, which is what we call smart data extraction. And this is going to help to make sure that there are protections and checks in place, like making sure that there's no fraud attempts, making sure that there's a duplicate protection, for example. Now, let's hear back from our audience. We have our first poll question today. Because we're talking about challenges, we thought it would be fun to kind of interact with our listeners today. So let's go to the next slide where we're going to open up a poll question. So feel free to participate and write your answers down in the chat. Our first question for everyone today is, what challenge is most prevalent in your organization? Is it A, late payments? Is it B, your processes are too slow and too time consuming? Is it C, there are many errors made on your different invoices? Or is it D, trying to adapt to hybrid or remote work? Now, while everyone's answering, feel free to write those down in the chat. I just wanted to open it back up to Niall and Rebecca to see if of these four listed, if there's a top challenge that you maybe have heard more frequently.
Yeah, for me, it would be processes are too slow and time consuming. And that comes down to, the staff capacity, the errors in that, it's disconnected processes. So yeah, it's B. And I can see on the chat as well.
I was just going to say,
yeah,
I can see almost 100%. No, 100% are saying B. I do see one saying hybrid. So we have one for D, and every other respondent has responded B, process times too slow. Niall, do you kind of agree with?
Yeah, concur with that completely. I was going to say B and D myself, so yeah. They would have been the two. So obviously, with an application where all your business critical data is in the one system, and if it's cloud based, it's accessible anywhere. So Rebecca touched on reducing the silos of information and having everything consolidated in one system is really going to ensure that and using workflow as well. That's really important in terms of ensuring that as many processes are as automated as possible. So absolutely, that's all I was going to say.
Well, thank you to the audience for participating. Since we're talking now about common challenges in the finance department and the AP side of things, let's now go to the next slide. And we're going to be talking about some of the top priorities that finance leaders have been discussing this year. Now, 39% reported the number one reason for implementing AP automation was simply to create an environment that people want to work in or that they feel proud of working in. Now, AP automation, as we all know, it's put into place to help minimize these errors and to, of course, reduce or eliminate mundane, repetitive tasks to help people work on more value-added tasks rather than, like what Niall's saying, repetitive data entry. And we want people to feel empowered in their jobs. So that's one of the top topics that we're talking about this year. And another change that's been seen is the increase in remote and flexible work modes post-pandemic. Finding ways to enable that is also becoming very critical, as I believe 96% of the respondents for our annual report said that they're working in a hybrid situation. Now, many employees are only looking for jobs where flexible work is an option. So this is really important to think about when you're like strategizing, thinking of ways to attract and retain new talent. This also relieves a little pressure knowing that there are checks in the system to help catch errors before they cause larger issues. So that takes us to this next reason, which another priority was to minimize security threats, again at 39%. Now, especially in the finance industry, cybersecurity and compliance regulations are so important, and they're becoming even more important into the future. And AP automation is there to really help you and your team to minimize human errors by identifying any inconsistencies, anomalies found on your documents. And you're also provided with a full audit trail and history of every document in your AP automation platform. So you can really see and have a visibility on who is making the error and if any changes have been made on each one of your invoices and documents. Now, the third that we can see at the bottom here is increasing general efficiency at 38%. Now, this third reason, with AP automation, you can also reduce costs by 80% and increase your access to having real-time data, both of which, again, it's crucial this year and moving on to the future with rising inflation rates and changes that we're seeing in the economy. Now, just to kind of recap, according to our State of Automation report that we're talking about, the top priorities are to increase productivity, adapt to new ways of working and retaining the workforce in a context of talent shortage, and minimizing security threats. So if anyone in the audience wants to put into the chat, if you are aligned with these findings, if you have another kind of top priority for your business that you would like to share with us, or if Rebecca and Niall, if you have a perspective about top priorities, especially in the accounts payable department, if you're in line with these top: minimizing security threats, increasing efficiency, productivity, starting with you, Niall.
Yeah, all three are obviously relevant. Security threats are obviously a part of the modern world today, and that's something that has to be addressed. And Microsoft are putting a huge investment in that area. So, an investment in a cloud solution will alleviate that to some extent. And obviously a trusted Microsoft partner who can advise on improving your secure score will reduce this risk considerably. Regarding the other findings, in terms of a flexible work mode, as before, with a cloud solution, you can create an immediate level of efficiency by investing in a cloud application to facilitate remote working. And particularly with Microsoft, it's a similar work environment to other Office products, so people are comfortable with it as well. And especially on that, since COVID pandemic, we're all familiar with cloud applications, particularly Office 365. So today you can leverage more for those existing investments with the likes of Business Central, as it has the same look and feel. It's easy to take on, as well as information from your Business Central application could be presented in your Teams, Outlook, Word, and Excel on a real-time basis, creating a really high level of efficiency.
And I do see that there was a question that popped up asking to explain a little bit more about the 80% savings that can be made through automation. So don't worry, I'm keeping your question in mind, and I have a diagram to show you exactly how that's going to take place. Now, if we go into the next slide, I'll pass it over to you, Rebecca. I know we have some stats that you'd like to share with everyone today about traditional and siloed ERP systems and how we can take this information and try to improve our business.
Great, thanks, Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, this is just to reinforce, I think, just the the issues and the priorities that we've raised. But I think across all industries, every customer and every business is really looking at how do I get faster time to value? How can I increase the agility in my business? And how can I reduce cost? I think they're kind of top three priorities for any customer and any business, really. And all CFOs and business owners are looking at that business in those three lenses. If I'm going to invest in technology, what's my time to value? Will it increase my agility to respond to the market, respond to my customers, respond to my competitors? And and with that, can I reduce costs to look to invest in different areas? But I think within that, the heart of the business, the heart of kind of that financial planning, that data analytics, the forecasting, is the data for your business. Where does it sit? Can you get to it? And that typically will sit in your ERP system and in your finance system. So that's where it's really the heart of your business, essentially. And that's where I think, for us as Microsoft, we're really trying to take businesses and organizations on that shift, moving away from these traditional siloed systems where really data sits at the heart of it. And it is automated and it is connected. So that's where we've listened to our customers around helping them rethink these processes and being more resilient as a business model. looking at, okay, how can we look at restructuring? What do we need to do as a business? And then this cross-functional, as Niall mentioned, all of the investments that you'll see from Microsoft is actually bringing the portfolio together so you can access these ERP systems, you can access your data through Outlook, through Teams, through things that are familiar, through Power BI reports. So just trying to make it easier for your users, your staff, your teams to actually use these systems, use these tools, so you get data accuracy and you get better onboarding and engagement. So we're seeing these as well as key priorities that are driving the investments and driving the technology that's coming out from Microsoft.
Perfect. Thank you so much for these stats and for this insight. Now, as we're wrapping up discussing about some of the many AP priorities for businesses this year, let's go to the next slide where we're going to jump into our next topic, which is top technologies for success. And there are so many different technologies that can help you and your team throughout the entire finance function, and that can really be implemented to help streamline and organize your processes. We're talking about artificial intelligence, OCR, e-invoicing, digital payments, making tax digital, and lots of more topics. So with this diagram, you can see we have some of the technologies listed here on the left that are being leveraged in finance departments. So let's just very quickly run through them. We have at the top a smart data extraction. This means that your documents are fully understood. And this means that it's not just like a basic OCR where your document is being scanned and the information is being populated. Where the smart data extraction comes in is OCR with artificial intelligence. So that means that your documents are read, the full text, and then thanks to this knowledge database, it actually recognizes more than just the characters on the invoice, but the actual semantic itself. So the tool is able to understand the context of your documents with this smart data extraction. Then we have artificial intelligence with, I'm sure everyone has heard of artificial intelligence, but sometimes we forget or we think, what exactly is artificial intelligence? Basically, what it's going to help you to do is it's continuously learning. And thanks to these different algorithms built into artificial intelligence, the system is gaining more and more knowledge of your processes as you use the AP automation system. And it's really helping you and your team to fill in data and automatically route your invoices based on predetermined rules and criteria. Now, with big data analytics, this is uncovering trends, patterns, and correlations to help make data-informed decisions in your process. We have, of course, AP automation, which we're talking about today, which helps to minimize manual data entry and speeds up the entire invoice processing from purchase to pay. Then we have electronic document management systems, or EDM tools. This is the type of software that helps to store, organize, and manage documents in an electronic file format, helping to reduce paper and increase organization digitally. Then you have what we call the digital audit trail. This provides you with a detailed list of every action that's taken by each user on each document within the AP automation platform. And then last but not least, we have mobile programs. This is increasingly important, and this feature really allows you to access your data anytime, anywhere. Now, overall, this year in the global survey that we've been discussing, the State of Automation report, we saw that financial professionals, the top 3 technologies to implement over the next year were at 39% cybersecurity, at 29% cloud computing or software as a service, and at 26% artificial intelligence. But what I really want to note here, which you can see on the right side of the screen in this graph, with some of the technologies that we've seen, and we've seen quite a difference or a jump in the importance over the last couple of years, really showing some new emerging trends. Now, we're seeing a trend in technologies that support accessibility and insights, and having this insight anytime, anywhere. Specifically, these technologies that we're talking about, which you can see on the other side of the screen, AI, big data, mobility, with a large jump in 2023, where you can see the different stats up on the board, moving with AI from 19 to 26%. We can see with data visualization from 16 to 25%. Big data analytics from 19 to 25%, and mobility increasing from 14 to 18%. So we see across the board with these technologies, quite a large increase. And the importance that we're talking about today is to kind of adapt to this modern finance department with hybrid or remote working, but also this is showing that the emphasis for visibility and communication are crucial for the workforce today to really feel connected during these unstable times. Now, for you, Niall, what technologies do you find the most important for CFOs to integrate into their processes? Is there maybe one in particular or a couple technologies that stand out to you?
Yeah, I suppose listen, the future is here in terms of AI and big data. They're definitely going to play a big part in the future landscape for business. With the machine learning capabilities, co-pilot capabilities that Microsoft have to offer from an AI perspective, that's going to be a big part of the future. But I think AP automation is still a hot topic, and it's obviously why we're all talking today on this webinar. However, I'd say going back to the left-hand side, I'd say it's still vitally important that you have a digital audit trail as part of your systems, because transparency, accountability, fraud prevention, and compliance are going to be a vital part of a CFO's role going forward. And with the likes of Business Central, there is a full audit trail, there's a full change log tool where everything is date and time stamped based on user activity. So I think where AI and big data are coming, that we have to look at the traditional aspects as well, and ensure that things like digital audit trails are part of your future plans as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, with the next slide, actually, I was going to pass it to you, Rebecca. This next slide. Yeah, no, sorry about that. Because this next slide is important. We're talking about the top 3 ways that SMBs expect technology to support business objectives. So if you want to kind of follow up with what Niall's saying to continue.
Yeah, I think so. I think so we're seeing actually just very basic demand still of moving these financial applications into the cloud. I think that's kind of really the first step still. And we're seeing these technologies kind of all happening concurrently. So the demand for moving to the cloud is actually with that driving the demand for AI and the value that can bring. So we're seeing with machine learning, customers seeing the benefit of that, understanding the payment cycles and the patterns, and really being able to improve that. But I think that's SMBs more and more. So rather than large kind of enterprise organizations, we're really seeing in SMBs really looking to technology to support their business objectives. So overall, rather than seeing kind of technology as somebody else's problem or it's managed by IT, we're really seeing the ownership and the interest really led by the business now. So, and seeing a direct impact of technology into the business. So I think that's also been a big shift, as well as what the technology is. It's about how the technology is driving and helping that business. But yeah, definitely, I think moving to the cloud, moving these financial applications into the cloud is really enabling some of these benefits really around growth, maximizing profits, and being able to achieve some of these business objectives through technology.
Thank you so much for these insights. And these are really interesting stats that we can see up on the screen. Let's now go to the next slide, where we're going to just talk a little bit quickly about in 2023, what CFOs are talking about. So we can see the 3 circles up on the board. We have data, mobility, and automation. So we can see out of these 3 key features, the first, a big portion of this is all starting with the data. So we can see data on the left side. It's really crucial to improve the collection, the analysis, and the security of our data. And everything else stems from this kind of foundation of the data that we're getting. The growth rate of the volume of data increases each year, raising the question of processing and management capacity. Now, in the past year, the growth in data has been 26%. And according to an insight from the CEO, 80% of enterprise data is unstructured. Now, without tools to analyze, companies are missing out on a wealth of information to inform decision making. And I'm sure you all have experienced a meeting where everyone brings their spreadsheet and everyone has different data elements that they're bringing to the table. So everyone needs to be on the same page when it comes to real-time decision making, and not having an efficient system to collect and analyze data can end up being a bit of a waste of time and a waste of resources for your team. Next, we see mobility. Now, adapting to the new ways of working, especially in remote working contexts, and speeding up the processes is becoming key. Like we're saying, so many companies today, a large majority of their employees are working in a hybrid situation. Now, in the 2023 State of Automation report, we saw a significant jump from 14% of respondents investing into mobility in their technology 2 years ago in 2021 to 18% prioritizing this year in 2023. Now, one example we can take is invoice approval. If your managers can approve from anywhere, anytime, you can then right there and then right away have a tremendous productivity gain. And also adopting a collaborative way of working is also essential to improve relationships within the team with different departments when often dispersed or when working remotely. Now, on the right side at the top, we can see automation. And like we're talking about today, automation is becoming essential to increase productivity, reduce errors, mitigate risk, ensure your compliance, reduce risk, and reduce fraud. Now, CFOs have a real challenge there, as they need to show their team that automation is not there to replace any team members, but really to help enhance the work of their existing team members to bring more value. Now, if anyone in the audience wants to respond back into the chat, what you all think in regards to people kind of not being afraid of technology, but kind of hesitating when talking about technology, in taking their job, helping them do their job, if anyone has any insights on that. And on that note, let's actually now, on the next slide, we have a second poll question that we want to ask everyone. So in this second poll question, let's see how everyone feels when choosing a technological solution or tech solution. What is the most important aspect when making that decision with your team members? Is it A, high volume data collection? Is it B, having increased accounting data security? Is it C, having real-time access or having access anytime to your different documents and invoices? Or is it D, having a user-friendly and intuitive platform? So in just a moment, we're going to see everyone's answers. I can already see a couple of answers popping up on the board. What about you, Niall and Rebecca? What do you think when companies today that are coming to you talking about choosing a solution, what is one of the most important aspects? Or can you identify maybe a couple?
I can go first, just around the user-friendly and intuitive platform. Definitely, that's one of the biggest benefits, I think, of the Microsoft platform, is because everybody is familiar with Outlook and Teams, and actually getting people to use it is the biggest barrier to technology. So definitely at Microsoft, that's kind of heart and center of the design and development and roadmap for our finance platform. So absolutely, yeah, it's that user-friendly, because you've invested in technology, and if you can't get anybody to use it because it's too difficult, or they spend months and months on training, again, it's all about that time to value. So yeah, I completely agree. I think user-friendly, intuitive platform is absolutely key to a success.
Yeah. I can actually see a large majority of the respondents today have said D. So it goes right along with what you're saying, having a user-friendly and intuitive platform. I think a couple, maybe 3 or 4, have said C, real time, having access to your documents in real time. And I saw one response, B, increased accounting data security. So the difference between B and C, I saw a comment saying that B is contradicting C. B is really talking about, the security of your data and your documents. And then C is just having access to those documents in real time. So it's a little bit different, but sorry about the confusion on that. And I see someone else is responding C as well. So right in line with what we were saying with user-friendly and intuitive platform, having increased security and real-time data. I didn't see anyone responding A, which is quite interesting, having a high volume, which is actually an issue that I'm seeing a lot today with the projects of smaller companies that are wanting to automate because they're anticipating a large growth period in the near future. So that brings us now to our last section on the next slide, where we're going to start talking a little bit about how you can start your digital transformation. And as we were talking about, there are many technologies available to help your finance department process. But the real question is, okay, how do I start my project? So let's take a look at these different aspects, the key benefits of a fully automated accounting process that we can see up on the board. So we can see enables remote working, which of course is one of the hot topics that we're talking about this year, saving your team a lot of time. In saving time, you're reducing overhead costs and saving money. You have improved accuracy thanks to all of these built-in security checks, for example, duplicate protection, fraud protection. You have enhanced visibility and insights into your entire flow of your document from A to Z throughout the P2P process. You have easy audits and compliance with your reliable audit trail and legal archiving for your documents in the system. Of course, we've mentioned numerous times fraud protection, where there's a cross-referencing of all of your master data elements anytime a document is being brought into the system. And if there is any kind of discrepancy, there's an automatic alert that will pop up for you. So it really helps you to protect your company against fraud attempts. Early payment discounts, and with that, just creating better relationships with your suppliers. I don't know any companies that don't like being paid on time or being paid early. So this is going to really affect and improve your supplier relationships, and having immediate results on ROI. Now, I'll turn it back to Rebecca and Niall. If you have any of the aspects, these key benefits of automation, if you've heard maybe one or two benefits across the board, or if there's certain benefits that you've heard more frequently from the different companies and clients that you're working with.
I'll let Niall take that one. I took the last one, so I'll give Niall a chance.
Thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, around again the investment in, going back to your last question, and in terms of a fear in technology investment, I think it's really important to involve as many people in the process as possible at the beginning, and look to automate as much as possible in terms of those manual tasks to make the users more proactive rather than reactive. So when all the information is available in one system, people have a source of data that they can count on, and really make those proactive decisions. So again, with a cloud application, Rebecca touched on the other Microsoft products around Business Central as well. So collaboration is key for the future. So Microsoft Teams has the ability to integrate seamlessly with Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. So how would that look in a real world environment? So we have a finance department. They create a finance team channel, and from there, dashboards, etc., from the Business Central application and reports and specific customer account information relevant to their finance health can all be displayed in Teams. It's all collaborative. It can assist team meetings, it can assist conversations, and it can all be done without the need from switching from application to application. So that level of collaboration and productivity is key benefit of investing in a business cloud application. And as I said, automating as much as possible as part of the process, and bringing as many people on board on the journey is really important.
Absolutely. I think that's the first step, is getting together with all of the people involved, all the stakeholders that are relevant to the project, getting them involved as early in the process as possible to make sure that everyone's on board, and then to identify those pain points to then determine if automation is going to help you with your specific pain points, as each project and each company has their own unique process. Now, with this next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about your fully automated accounting process with Yooz and Business Central. So on this next slide, I'll pass it back to you, Niall and Rebecca, for this next slide to kind of talk a little bit about the power of Microsoft Business Central. And because Yooz, we're connected, Microsoft is one of our top connections that we have. We're connected with all the different versions of Microsoft, but today we're specifically focusing on Microsoft Dynamics 365 and Business Central. So if you want to give us a little bit more information and share with our participants today a little bit more about this powerful tool.
Shall I kick us off, Niall, and then hand over to you? So yeah, Niall briefly mentioned, so Dynamics NAV Navision. So you may have heard of NAV. This is sorry, this is the cloud version. This is the next evolution of NAV. So an all-in-one business management platform. Apologies. So yeah, it really it sits on Azure. It sits on the cloud. You could also have it in a hybrid model as well, into a private cloud if you wanted to, if for data or security or privacy reasons. But it's a cloud-based platform, and it really brings together all the elements that businesses need to run their business really in real time. So, and data sits at the heart of this. So the data accuracy and reportings and analytics, but importantly, as we mentioned before, it integrates with the wider Microsoft platform. So if you've invested in Microsoft 365, if you've got Outlook, if you've got Teams, if you've got Excel, then this will integrate through it. So for example, you could have your users, your finance team, accessing Business Central through Teams. So you'd have a card through Teams. So again, the integrations, but also the ecosystem around Dynamics Business Central. Yooz is one of our partners, but we also have 3,500 plus globally third-party companies that are building applications, value-add applications in and around Business Central. So again, that's a really, really important part of the ecosystem. So if there's gaps or specific processes or niche areas that are really important to your industry or important to your business, then we tend to have a third-party applications that's built it. And or equally, you can work with partners like Sysco, where we can build out through Power Platform additional services or additional wraparound applications that will work with your business. So it's a very extensible automated platform. But as I said earlier, it's all built around the data. It's all built around really driving this automation and operational efficiency really within your business. So yeah, that's my brief introduction. But I'll hand over to Niall, who can kind of talk a bit more detail around what Business Central is.
Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, so Business Central is basically the main ERP offering from Microsoft. So to put that in context, there's over 300,000 companies globally using the application. So obviously Yooz is one of the ISV products that Rebecca mentioned that will enhance the standard functionality available in the Business Central application. So, but essentially, if you're looking at this from a finance, distribution, manufacturing kind of application, because it's such a global application at this stage, the kind of standard best practice functionality is the starting point that we will look at, because it's essentially been used so widely, and Microsoft are updating the product so often as well. So it's on a biannual release roadmap, every April, every in October, you get a new version of the application on the cloud platform. So essentially, it's our goal to stick as closely to the best practice application as possible to facilitate those updates. And Yooz will be on a similar roadmap as well to ensure that all things move quickly. So in terms of Sysco's experience, we have clients ranging from 10 users to 500 users and using varying levels of functionality, be it distribution, procurement, warehouse management, service management, and manufacturing. But as I said at the very beginning, they're all using the financial management capabilities of the system, because that's the foundation. So irrespective if you're using an application in manufacturing or procurement or distribution, everything goes back to GL level. So you need to get that foundation of a finance application in at the beginning.
That's wonderful. And with this next slide, I think this will kind of follow up with what you're saying now about the connection that we have between Yooz. And I love this diagram because we can just visually see at what steps throughout the process that flow of information is flowing between the two systems. Now, the whole idea is that Yooz is a plug and play solution. So it's really just enhancing the power that you already have within Business Central. And we're talking mostly about the process that's taking place in Yooz by collecting your invoices and sending them through those automated workflows so that you're left with finished documents ready to go in your Business Central platform. Now, at the top, you can see the master data elements are going to be starting in your Business Central platform, and they're going to be synced in between Yooz. Now, your project at Yooz is going to be handled by a project manager and a whole team of developers at Yooz, so you won't have to worry about setting the tool up. But once your project manager has all of those master data elements, they're going to sync them into Yooz and set up your specific processes or workflows in the system. So you can see on the other side of the screen, we have those three main pillars, which are having fresh data at your fingertips, having an increased visibility with payment information and those flows as well, and having intelligent and automated workflows. Now, with this next slide, this is where I'm coming back to the question that was asked earlier in today's presentation about how 80% of the time or the costs are saved throughout the process. So I love this diagram. It's visually, you can kind of see the different modules that are built into Yooz. And we've specifically set the tool up this way so that each company or each project, you can mix and match to automate the part of the process that you're looking to automate. Some companies maybe only want to automate a part of the process. Others are looking to automate the full P2P process. So for example, starting on the left side, we can see we have a built-in purchasing module. This is where if you need to, you can raise your purchase requisitions in Yooz. But if you're raising your purchase requisitions in an outside tool or in your ERP, Business Central, we have what's called the purchase import that can take place. We have that automatic two-way and three-way matching that's taking place for you automatically in Yooz. And then we have what you can see up at the top, which is called the no-touch process. Now, this is where 80% of your document flows are going to be flowing through this area. And this means you have absolutely no human intervention needed whatsoever. Based off of your specific rules, this could be for any type of document, but a basic example could be any repetitive invoices that don't need any specific approval steps, utility bills, subscriptions. Based off of those rules, if everything's popping up as matched and Yooz, all of the information is correct, based off of that master data that's been cross-referenced and the OCR, if everything's popping up 100% complete, that document will automatically flow through Yooz and be popping up for you with that automatic export in Business Central. So it's as simple as that. There's no human intervention needed. And that's why on the bottom of the screen, you can see these workflows that you can set up for that last kind of 20% or so of documents that flow in that have exceptions. These could be documents that need one approval or maybe several approvals. Maybe you need to have a review step built in to verify that information. We also have a way to set up a payment export file in the correct format, depending on which bank or multiple banks that you're using for your payment run, and then that automatic export that's taking place at the end. Now, of course, there's tons of other features built into Yooz. We have, of course, the legal archiving, the audit trail. We have a Google-like search. You can process your budgets and Yooz your expenses. And the whole idea is that you and your team are just going to feel more organized as the entire system allows you to trace your documents at every step of the way. Something that's unique to this system in Yooz is that there are no licenses involved. So you can allow as many users as you'd like, so an unlimited amount of users, and you can also set up an unlimited amount of entities or organizational units within the system. So we really want for your business, as you're growing, for Yooz to take that into consideration and grow and adapt with your business. Now, this last slide is just to really show an example of a company that you may recognize, FreeNow. And the example is to kind of show their journey that they went on to going from a purely manual paper-based process to automating their P2P process. Now, FreeNow chose Yooz to centralize their supplier accounting services. They wanted to reduce their invoice management costs, and they were experiencing rapid growth. So they were growing quite quickly. Now, finding the solution with Yooz, they really wanted to collect the invoices for all of their different subsidiaries. And FreeNow kind of adopted Yooz really to centralize all of their processes, to streamline. Now they have 10 subsidiaries. They have 56 million users, so they're growing quite rapidly. They're available in over 16 countries, in over 170 cities. They're using Microsoft Business Central, and they process roughly about 1,500 invoices per month. And the reasons why in the end they decided to go with Yooz was that they really needed that aspect of the multi-site organization to be run efficiently and in a centralized accounting system. They said that they divided the time that was spent on their invoices by 3. So time savings was a huge aspect for them. And they've needed support in real time. So they were happy with the reactivity of the support team. They wanted a user-friendly access, like most of the respondents in today's webinar responded D, having a user-friendly aspect. So same with FreeNow, they really wanted a solution that could be customized, that could adapt to their needs. And they were really impressed with the Google-like search capability so that they can search any invoice based off of a keyword, even if it's in a logo. And any type of writing can be accepted, and to use even legible handwritten text in any Latin-based language. So finally, to wrap it up, they were saying that their approval workflows seem too complex to be handled by an AP automation tool, which is why in Yooz, you can actually build as many steps as you need for as many different approvals, up to 21 approvers on a document if you needed to allow you to have that freedom to kind of mix and match with the different criteria that you have. So now that we've gone through the full presentation, you know a lot more about Business Central, about Yooz, we just wanted to quickly reach out to explain how, if you and your team are interested in a live demonstration of Yooz. So on this next slide, it's really just to explain how that's going to happen. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Yooz and you want to take a look at a live demonstration, what we'll do is we're going to match you with a Yooz expert that works with Business Central. So we have a whole team dedicated to this specific ERP. They've implemented tons of other projects with companies similar to yours. So they'll be able to answer all of your questions, take you through a live demonstration of Yooz so you can really see how the solution works. And so if you're interested, we do have a link that's going to be presented to you. To keep an eye out in the chat. If you'd like, you can click on that link and you're going to be directed to sign up for that free live demonstration. So that wraps it up. And we now have a couple of minutes here for a live Q&A session. So again, I'm not sure if my camera is working today. I'll try to turn it back on just to thank everyone. Rebecca, Niall, it's so interesting to hear your insights about the state of automation in finance this year, about what Microsoft Business Central can do to help so many different teams with their processes. And so now let's open it up to the audience for some questions and answers. So I can see that there may be a couple of questions popping up. I have a question for Rebecca about Microsoft. What is the roadmap for Microsoft coming in towards the end of 2023? Are there any important new features to know about? So kind of a real general question about Microsoft.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what we'll see more and more is around Copilot, machine learning. How do we make it easier? There's already Copilot functions available within Business Central today. So for example, for retail, there's a great example of a retail organization doing product and stock descriptions and using ChatGPT and Copilot to really build out that description in more natural language and build out, and support small businesses. So I think we'll see more and more of that functionality coming out in more different industries and in more different use cases. So there's a lot of focus around that as well. I think as well, making it easier to use, to excuse the pun, but actually bringing in that ability to integrate into other areas of a customer's business to make it more accessible, make those data those data points in real time for customers.
Let's see if I have a last couple of questions, perhaps. How does the implementation work with Yooz? Can I try the system out? So again, really basic question, but a good one. With Yooz, the implementation, it depends on each project because each project is different. So it really depends on the size and complexity of the project. I would say it can last anywhere between 2 weeks to 2 months. And what takes place is that as soon as you are signed up with Yooz, you have a project manager assigned to your team. You're going to have different meetings that are scheduled for you and your finance department. So you'll have a kickoff meeting, you'll have different designated trainings that are set up, accounting training, administration training. And then our team of project developers are going to test the system out. You'll go live. And then we actually have a whole dedicated team, the customer success team, to help you even after you've gone live, if you need to make any modifications, if you need to add in any additional features or functionalities. And we do offer a free trial for 2 weeks. So we allow anyone to try out the system. I've actually seen some great experiences within those first 2 weeks of trying the system out, where people are already seeing the advantages of, getting their invoices in on time, taking advantage of early payment discounts, and their team. I think the most rewarding part is seeing the changes that the team members feel by feeling more productive in the work that they're doing and feeling like they're adding more value in the process. I think we have time for this last question here that's popping up. How would you compare the pros and cons of implementing MS Power Automate functionality with Dynamics BC versus the Yooz application? Maybe Niall, if you want to dive into that one.
Yeah, tough question at the end. Thank you for that. I would say very much that Power Automate is very much part of the future in terms of the workflow of Microsoft applications. But if you're in the marketplace for a finance application, there's only so much you'll be able to do with Power Automate. There's obviously Power Apps as part of the Power Platform as well, but you don't want to be reinventing the wheel, and that goes for the AP capabilities of Yooz as well. So my recommendation would certainly be to use the best practice capabilities of all three applications, and maybe not focused on one or other, and bring everything together and use the best practice capabilities of them all.
I agree.
Real political answer to finish.
No, I agree. And actually, we're seeing that a lot with customers around integrating best of breed. So looking at best of breed for financial planning, analysis. So actually just bringing all of those best of breed kind of applications together, rather than kind of looking at it as an either or. It's kind of an and situation.
Indeed.
Perfect. I think we do have a very last slide on our PowerPoint, and it's just to give you some contact information. If you are curious, if you have any questions following today's webinar, or even if you're just curious to learn a little bit more, either about Yooz, about Microsoft, if we could pop up that last slide, we just have Niall's information and my information as well. And so on behalf of myself, on behalf of the entire team at Yooz, we want to again thank you both so much for joining us today as our special guests for this webinar. Niall, if you have any last words that you'd like to say to everyone today.
Yeah, just thanks very much again for the invite, and my details will be on the last slide, so feel free to reach out, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. And then Rebecca, same for you. Do you have any last words or a message to today's participants?
Yeah, just thank you, and thank you to the Chartered Accounts of Ireland as well. It's through
Absolutely.
networks like Chartered Accounts of Ireland that we really can kind of help communities and other people and share best practice like this as well. So yeah, it's a great opportunity to kind of share some of these learnings, and I really appreciate the discussion as well. There's been lots of interaction on the chat, so
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you again to both of you, and a huge shout out to the Chartered Accounts in Ireland. Thank you again so much for collaborating with us on today's webinar. Stay tuned for upcoming webinars. Keep your eye out to rate this webinar. If you have any comments or feedback, we love hearing your feedback at the end, and stay tuned for our upcoming webinars. Hope you have a great day today. Take care, everyone.